everybody, welcome back to my channel, Vlogsters. Let's fold some laundry. So, this morning, there's no coffee because this morning I have drank my water. I'm waiting my 45 minutes to do my stuff, and I decided to fold the laundry. So I just wanted to give you a couple of what I do. This is sort of like that cleaning with disabilities thing that I do. I sleep with 3 bed pillows. And sometimes it's just 2 under my head. I have a king size because this is a king size bed. And then I have 2 standard pillows. What I do to protect my knee from the pressure of the blankets, I know that sounds weird, and the pressure of the laundry, is I put 1 bed pillow this way and then 1 across my lap. I do the same thing when I do my meds. It elevates my lap and protects my knees from the blanket. Sometimes if I don't do this, the blanket pushes down on my toes, sounds weird, and hurts my knees. So I also have a tiny travel pillow under my right knee. That's the one that's bothering me right now. So this is just...
This is how we bury your wife in the morning with laundry.
This is him being a smarty pants. But actually it's quite helpful. The other thing that I have that helps me, and I think I mentioned it in a previous video, let me get it out, is my all-in-one back scratcher, light turner oner, clothes grabber. So I'll have this at hand as well, because if dryer ball. Yeah, so if something's out of my reach there, I can go ahead and do it. Just thought we would talk. Well, actually, I need a sip of water. I'm kind of got dry mouth right now. I was drinking last night. I know. I'm not supposed to drink.
Lightweight.
It's not that. It's the medicine and the diabetes. But between me and my doctor, I really very rarely drink, but we wanted to have a family game night a little different last night. Jim wants to say hi, I think, because he keeps pushing, but that's too much. I didn't ask you to give it to me more, did I?
Well, making sure you have it all, because I'll be in a different room.
Hey, excuse me, guys. The thing that I've been doing where I put the Metamucil in the cup and fill up the cold water into the bottle, if you want to do that and make my coffee and put it on the table, that'd be great. If you don't want to, I could try to do it when I come out. I just don't know how tired I'm going to get from this. Forgot how I fold my towels today. So, I've mentioned the towel folding before. It's like an organizational thing. It's like a hack, but I remember how I folded them now that they're in that pretty rack. I think that's this way. I think it's in thirds. There we go. I think that's it. It's in thirds and then thirds again. Yeah. Ta-da! So I thought we'd fold some laundry. I feel like Steel Magnolias where she's like, let's talk some trash. And they're taking the garbage out. But it's been a really... Yesterday was a really good day. I feel stronger every day. So I know that I'm healing. I might be... It's like one of those things you'd be like, are you going to be better before you actually get to see the doctor? Who knows? But that's really what it's all about. Sometimes I was saying to Jim, sometimes it's just about healing, giving your body time to heal. But you're in a predicament where you can't. You know, my injury is in a place where it can't just heal. Like, it just can't be like, just rest and don't move it and that kind of thing. So now if I would have had a brace or something, that would be different. It would help it heal a little bit faster. And not exacerbate the injury. But, you know, the fact that it's my knee and it's difficult to get to the doctor and that kind of stuff has definitely been part of why it's just taken a little bit longer. But it is eventually happening. It is eventually feeling better. It is healing. So that's kind of good. I'm really very happy about its progress. Also, my abilities to live with it. One of the things when you first hurt yourself, especially when you're an independent person, or you start to get sick and you rely on someone else, especially when you're an independent person. And I know from talking privately with many of you, you all have this thing where you're trying to cope with you being the person in the house that does it all, and then all of a sudden you're not able to do not only not at all, but hardly anything, and it's very difficult. I realized I'm kind of shouting. I should put my headphones in. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, maybe that helps a little bit. But after talking to many of you, that transition between not only not being able to do it all, but hardly being able to do anything is a very difficult place to be. Now, of course, depending on your spouse, and I say this with the utmost respect for everybody's spouses, because it isn't always just about the spouse, but I'll tell you that in a second. Depending on your spouse, your transition can be very smooth or very bumpy. Now, I say depending on your spouse because of a couple of reasons. One is if your spouse is intuitive. Mine is not very intuitive. He's very gracious and very kind, but he's not very intuitive. He doesn't anticipate my needs, and that's okay. That's what communication is all about. He doesn't anticipate my needs. I have to actually communicate them. And sometimes it takes a lot. Like it takes the crying before he actually realizes that I'm serious. And that is not just me exaggerating, excuse me, my pain or my difficulty or my frustration in myself, But that's okay. It's okay. It's all about communication. I mean, it's why we as human beings were built with this communication. We have facial expressions. We have sounds that we make when we're in different emotional states that communicate how we feel, whether it's frustration or sadness or whatever. This is just that's how we're built, and this is why we're built this way. So if you are one of excuse me, if you are one of these women, I'm so sorry. It's it's a little sinusy this morning. I did so sorry. I did take my nose spray last night. I just don't know if I took it correctly. I'm very sinusy on the left this morning, sorry. Anyway, if you are one of these women who is dealing with this, I highly encourage you to communicate with your spouse if your spouse is not intuitive. Now, some spouses, even with communication, we as women, and it's nobody's fault, I'm not blaming anybody, but we have to just see it for what it is so we can work with it. See, that's why I read something a long time that says nothing is gained from blame. And it's true. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it is true. And let me point out what they mean. You feeling superior by proving you're right doesn't really make you feel better. The person who is ultimately responsible is not going to feel better because they feel responsible. So it's important to point out where the responsibility lies, but not to blame them. Like, that whole, it's all your fault. You did this, that kind of thing. That's not really helpful to anybody. It could be temporarily I feel superior that I was right and he was wrong, but ultimately it really doesn't make you feel better and it doesn't really help your relationship. So just don't do it. He's back. Got your hoodie?
Yeah, it's a little chilly out there this morning.
Really?
First thing in the morning.
Well, did you put the air back up?
Yes,
Oh, thank you, love. I love you. So, when I'm not trying to say that you're responsible, like I'm putting the blame on you for creating your culture, but ultimately that's really what it is. As women or heads of household or single moms or housewives, or even working moms, even working females of our certain age. We were in the cultural shift that we grew up in, of like a lot of our moms worked, some of our moms didn't. Some of our moms were stay at home, so we thought stay at home was the way to be, but then we had to go to work. So this is like our age is very transitional, and our parents were baby boomers or the greatest generation, and we're either like baby boomers or Gen Xers, where we're transitional, depending on where you lived in the country too. Obviously, that made a huge difference. So it's like, what do we do? What do we do? That's the thing. We create a household that says, don't worry about it, we've got it. We create a household that we are at our family's beck and call, and we fulfill their every need. You need a Band-Aid? I know where the Band-Aids are. You're hungry? Let me make you something to eat. We're out of toilet paper? Let me run to the store. And it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not anybody's way of life is terrible. It's just that we have to recognize it. We recognize that when we are down for the count, whatever it is, and sometimes husbands are more sympathetic when wives are pregnant than they are than when they're injured, which is kind of funny, but it is just the way it is. So when we're down for the count, they don't know what to do. I mean, it really, literally, they just don't know what to do. I've always tried to communicate with Jim, and Jim doesn't always listen, and that's okay. I just know in my head that I communicated it. If it's an important subject, like the night that I thought that I had to go into the emergency room and possibly have like this emergency knee surgery like we did last time. When it comes to communicating with Jim, I say that I have to implant a Jimism. Okay, let me explain this, because everybody's husband's communication needs are going to be different. For Jim, I can either relate it to something that he likes, whether it's one of his comic book series or a TV series or a video game or a book, and I can communicate it that way so that if we need to recall the conversation, it is recalled easier for him because he has that memory implanted. And here's a perfect example. Jim, I'm going to go into the emergency room tomorrow. And if I do go to the emergency room tomorrow and they end up doing emergency surgery or something, and something goes wrong, God forbid something goes wrong, I wanted to remind you that the insurance policy is in the desk behind the car stuff. And I think the best way to remember that for you is, you've always wanted a red car, red and blood and surgery and insurance. Like, I think that was like the best way to communicate to that. Other scenarios is we'll just have a conversation, like, I wanted to remind you that, X, Y, and Z is happening. I might go on this trip, okay? He's like, yeah, and then I'll immediately talk about something he likes. So when I come back from the trip, we'll finish watching your favorite show, The Vikings, and hopefully be able to finish that series. He's like, yeah, that sounds good. And then we'll have this conversation about the Vikings, right? So then later, if I have to recall the conversation, and I'll say, do you remember the conversation we had about me going away? And he'll be like, no. I said, do you remember then we had, like, we're going to watch the Vikings when I come home? And he'll be like, oh, yeah, that's right. We did have that conversation. So those things might help. I don't know if they will help you, but hey, these are tricks that work in my family. And really, that's what this is all about. This is tricks that help me, that may help you. By the way, I don't know if you can see this. This is what they call matelassé. I'm not even know if I'm saying it right. I might be chairing up the French, but that's the way I've always heard it pronounced. It is the way that it's quilted and embroidered at the same time. Not really embroidered, but like it's like heat infused. It's really wild, but I love this. I don't have one in the king size, which I'm so sad about, but I have two in the queen size. Actually, I have one in the full size and one in the queen size because that's the beds I used to have. But these are pillowcases that I got really cheap on clearance. And I like to cover the dressers with these. So these are king size pillowcases in ivory matelassé. See, they're pillow shims. And I use them to cover the dressers and stuff. This one was on the Filipino dresser. So when we moved that, we washed it. Anyway, back to talking. So I don't know if that helps you, but after talking to you and a lot of you say like, my husband just isn't like Jim. Honestly, Jim's not like Jim, to be honest. Jim steps up when he needs to step up. I love that about him. He's amazing when these times are needed. But he needs to be encouraged. And your husband just may need to be encouraged. That's the thing is you don't know until you know, really. To be honest with you, Jim was, when I first met Jim, he was very into his fantasy world that he had in his head. And that's okay. You can live in your fantasy world. So as long as you come to reality from time to time. So I started to realize that this man had some issues growing up and he, needed to be grounded, and I helped ground him. I mean, I didn't try to change him. I just helped remind him that it really won't be in his best interest to constantly live in a fantasy world, to be in reality from time to time. And this took time. This didn't happen overnight. This isn't one sentence and it was over, So I forgot where I was just going to go with that. So Jim. Oh, so I want to also say, being an only child, he was a little spoiled. I mean, he did have a heart for service of others. So he always worked in the service industry. So I guess from being in church or being his natural state of things, he did have a heart for service, but he really didn't really have it focused at the right things. I'm thinking, is that the way to say it? The right things? It was a lot of stuff that was self-serving. Like, oh, I helped this old lady paint her house, but she paid me $200. Well, you didn't help her paint her house, then she hired you to paint her house. There's like a difference. And yes, you didn't have to paint her house at all. I get that, but it's not like you did it out of the heart, the kindness of your heart type of thing. So when my father died, which was the first real, not traumatic so much, but the first real opportunity that I had for him to step up. Because really, the first 10 years of our marriage was a lot of like me placating him, just like trying to keep him happy and trying to keep him home and trying to keep him like grounded and trying to keep him like just really, that's what it was. I was trying to, I don't want to say fix him because that's a terrible thing to say, but I was trying to encourage him to be the man that, not that I wanted him to be. Let me tell you that. Part of Jim's fantasy world when I first met him was he projected himself as this man that he wanted to be. So it's not the man that I wanted him to be. It's the man that he wanted him to be. So I helped him. Like, I was like, if you truly want to, I mean, this was before we got married. We'd had these conversations. It's like, if you truly want to be this man that you projected, we can do that. You can do that. You have the ability. You are, if you have the thoughts that create this fantasy world, those same thoughts will create your reality world. Like, it's choices that you make. Don't be lazy about it. And it's really funny because I think we had a conversation on the last vlog about lazy, and we were talking about different kinds of lazy. And for me, in talking to Jim, I feel like they're very lazy in a way of they would just choose not to do something that might end up being more work. Like as opposed to me, I do that work smarter, not harder philosophy, where I feel like that's what that is anyway. I think that's right with the big towels. Yeah, I have to redo this one. But that kind of lazy that they have is the just like, I'm just not going to do it because I don't, it's too much work or whatever. Which is funny because it's just a different thought. It's just a different thought process, different reality. And there's this way, I think. Okay. All right. This might be Mom's towel. I'll have to look. Let me fold it. Sorry, guys. I don't recognize this towel. It might be my mother-in-law's. Sometimes we leave stuff in the dryer for each other, so. Not on purpose, but it happens that way. Oh, it also could be rags, because the rag from the rag pile was used too, so that could be what it is. Anyhow, I'm sorry. So I hope you guys don't realize this isn't a Jim bashing vlog. This is just the insight that I had into my husband that I use to communicate now that I'm injured. This is what this whole thing was about. So, he, they have just like a different way of looking at things. They just say like, well, I'm just going to leave my stuff in the sink because I don't feel like putting it in the dishwasher, like that kind of lazy. And I'm like, well, if you're going to dirty the dish, be responsible enough where I'm just like, I'm lazy, I'll use a paper plate because I don't want to have to go back and put it in the dishwasher type of thing. So just to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. So when my father passed away, and that was like the real first time that I felt like Jim stepped up without being asked to. Where he was intuitive, his first real intuitiveness. And then I find out now that mom gave him encouragement to just be there for me. That's pretty much what she said. She said, Jeri's going to need you now, so just be there for her. And it really did help me deal with all the things I had to deal with. Now, Jim and me and Pop lived at the house by ourselves, the three of us. And so we did not only have like emotional things to deal with and financial things to deal with, but we had like cleaning up the house and just things to deal with. Like, it's just going through his things and that sort of. I can't remember if that. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, when the flood came, Jim needed encouragement. He needed maximum encouragement, as a matter of fact, because his emotions were all getting the best of him. And he was like, I can't deal with this. And I'm like, but you have to deal with it. Because there's nobody who can deal with it for you. And we can't just abandon our stuff and our lives. We can't just abandon everything that we have just for someone else to deal with. Because that's that kind of... This isn't a complaint. This is just an observation of the upbringing. When we moved my mother-in-law in 2001 to New York, I was up cleaning her bathroom in her bedroom, and she's like, sorry, it's so dirty. And I was like, it's all right, that happens. She goes, yeah, I don't clean, I just move. And I was like, oh, well, that's a good insight. So Jim's his primal thought was just to escape it all. It's just too much to deal with. I have to escape it. And I'm like, you know what? I just had an insight myself. That is kind of like how we describe each other's laziness. So he is so lazy, he just wants to leave the mess for everybody else. But I'm so lazy that I don't want to work harder to get all of these things that we need again. Right? There you go. That describes both of them together in one sentence. So anyway, I said we can't leave this for someone else. This is our things, this is our responsibilities, that type of thing. So we did what did we do? Oh, okay. So when the flood came, he wanted to escape, and I was like, no, we have to take care of this. So he did. He stepped up again, but again with maximum encouragement. So I know he can. Oh, when I had my knee surgery, came before the flood. That's what it was. So when I had my knee surgery, he stepped up big time, like big time. He did things that I was embarrassed that I never thought I would ever have to ask anybody to do for me. And he did them just without, I don't want to say without concern for himself, but he was grossed out, and, he did them though. And he cared for me. In fact, this time he said, oh, if you just, oh, he bleached my white and it's got a bleach spot on it. Uh-oh. He's in trouble. I'm kidding. It's okay. Is that in the front? Of course it's in the front. It's right where my boob goes. Why wouldn't there be a bleach spot right where my boob goes? That's funny. That's really funny, but not funny. You know what I mean? So anyway, sorry guys. I digress. Squirrel, a bleach squirrel. It's a bleach squirrel. Okay. It's a brand new nightgown. I think I wore it once already. And it's got a bleach spot on it, so. Okay. All right. So when this injury happened, he was getting frustrated, and before I actually communicated properly that I'm disappointed in myself, I don't want to have to ask for help. But I have learned over the last 5 or 6 years being here that I have got to ask for help. I do. It's just that I'm getting older. Things are hurting more and more. The arthritis was getting bad. The fibromyalgia was getting bad. The diabetic neuropathy, that whole thing. My vision was getting worse and worse. I had to start asking for help. And it was hard. Like, I don't know that he still don't. I don't know that he still gets it, but he might get it now. It's hard to ask for help when you're the person who wants to do everything for everybody. Damn, you really don't want help. If we had children, maybe he would see it differently. The children would have helped, because I am a firm believer in, I joke about it. My mom used to say, as a joke, she said, I only had daughters so I wouldn't have to clean my house. But truly, it was the lessons in caring, being self-sufficient, basically. There are lessons in being self-sufficient. You can't sit there and have your mom do everything for you when you're 25 years old and you're living on your own, or you're married or whatever. You can't go to mommy's house so she could do your laundry. I mean, I guess you could. You shouldn't have to, though. I mean, you shouldn't be. Let's put it that way. Just saying. So anyway, anywho, static cling is terrible. I gotta get new dryer bowls. These nightgowns that I love, they're very silky. If you dry them, they start to become like bally, and they don't stretch as nice. And it's just, I like to hang my clothes out, but since I'm relying on so many people to do my own stuff these days, it's just throw them in the dryer. That's fine. I hate it, though. I hate that they wear out so quickly, because not that they're expensive, actually. They're relatively inexpensive considering, but I like them, and I don't want them to get ruined. It's really what it is. I want to have them longer. Okay. So if you are in the same place that I am, where your family or your marriage or your relationship has created a culture where you're the person that everybody turns to, and you're in a place in your life now or a situation that you need to turn to people in your family. Do your very best to communicate your needs. Hopefully, they won't fall on deaf ears. If it takes crying and frustration, or crying out of frustration, then it'll take crying out of frustration. If it takes fighting and arguing, then it will take fighting and arguing. But you need to communicate what you need. You can't continue to let your house fall apart, because it's not healthy for you. Especially if you're fighting, like if you're going through chemotherapy, you really need to have the cleanest environment possible. And if your husband doesn't want to clean, then maybe you guys can work out in the budget to get somebody to come in and clean it. Or maybe you have somebody at your church that's willing to come in and help you clean it because you don't have energy anymore. But you need to communicate it to your spouse first. Because like I said, they won't continue to rely on you for things. B is really what it is. A was, you have to have a clean environment. But B, they won't continue to rely on you for stuff. And that's important. So if all of your focus and energy has to be into healing your body, and to the point where you need someone to actually come in and help you to heal your body. Alexa, end timer. That means I can take my medicine stuff, which is good because I'm still in laundry. That means you can't be there for everybody else in the same way that you used to. You can't spend all your energy taking care of others when you hardly have any to take care of for yourself. Get it? That's what I was trying to communicate. So, and I said that to him. Now, what I'm doing with this particular injury, now this isn't the same as going through chemotherapy or going for some, having like an all over body condition. But it is, like say you have MS, and I know with MS, there's good days and bad days. You have good energy and low energy, high energy and low energy. You have mobility and lack of mobility from time to time. When you can do, honestly, whether it's even just your self-care. If you have someone come in and do self-care for you every day, they shower you, or they come in and make your food. They come in and take care of you, fold your laundry, do your laundry. Do what you can. Even if the person who does that for you is encouraging you to rest, just say, it would make me feel better to be able to do something for myself or for my family. So tell them, I would like to spend my energy or my extra energy today folding laundry. It makes me feel more like me. And that's really what it's been. I've noticed that for the last week or so, that when I'm starting to feel better, Jim's like, please just rest. And I'm like, this isn't going to make me tired. Let me just do this. It will help me. It helped my mental health a little bit, because it's just, sorry, I just had an emotional moment for a second. These were given to me by one of the ladies at the group home, which we weren't supposed to accept gifts from them. But after she talked to her family and after the flood, she bought me Dollar Tree towels and rags. And this is what I have left, because they're from the Dollar Tree, and that was 10 years ago almost. But she passed away, so it made me a little emotional. Sorry. I miss you, Kimmy. Okay, sorry about that. If it makes your mental health better too, like you have your physical health, that we have to take care of our physical health, but we also have to really take care of our mental health as well. Now, as far as your mental health is concerned, again, if you are doing the normal things actually helps, then do the normal things. Do all of the things that you would normally do or do some of the things, or do a thing that you would normally do for your family. That's important for your mental health. Now, try to do it in a way that's safe for your physical health, obviously, because you don't want to exacerbate your injury, obviously, and you don't want to, sorry, I'm in a place now. I'm trying to zone into what I need to do. And you don't want to exacerbate your injury, but you also don't want to just placate yourself by just sitting and doing nothing. You don't want to fall into your depression. You want to be, if you're the kind of person who really thrived in your, like, taking care of your family, then you just don't want to have it just fall to the wayside kind of thing, right? I mean, you want to be able to say, yes, I can do this and I can take care of my family. So anyway, I'm just gonna have to move my piles of clothes so that I can get up and do my day. Jim is the put the clothes away guy. Jim has become the put the clothes away guy because Jim likes to put his clothes away in a special way. He rolls his clothes. I think mine are already organized, right? Not even on purpose. I think it just worked out that way as I pulled them out of the pile. Oh no, there's one long nightgown. Sorry. I'm back to only having the... This is so strange. It's like, do I wear things weird? I'm a sets kind of a girl. Like, where is the rest of this? Why is that top missing? Why do I only have the bottoms? Okay, I'm gonna do socks. Excuse me. So, Jim likes his clothes rolled, like from being a military child. Or being in the army, like when he served in the army, that little bit he served in the army. Let me do socks first, and then I'll go about my day. But that's really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Like I said, after the last couple of vlogs of being injured and talking to you in private messages and in comments and stuff, I will tell you that when it comes to my YouTube channel, I kind of play averages. I look at how many comments I get versus how many thumbs up I get. So it's people who are in agreement with what I'm saying, plus the people who actually comment. And I realized how many people actually don't even comment. So I figure I get like 10% of the people going through it actually comment. So if I see that there's 3 comments of people who are struggling with their own thing, then I figure there's probably 30 people out there who are struggling with their own thing. If there's 400 people that comment that they're struggling with their own thing, then I realize that there's probably so on and so forth. So I really like to be able to post a thing like this so that it could help encourage somebody to communicate with their families, communicate with your doctor. That's another thing we never even talked about. Communicating with your doctor is important too, you know, because then your doctor may be able to put you in touch with somebody at social work who you can say, look, I have trouble talking to my husband. I've created this culture. I've created the thing in this family. I did talk to my husband and he is not receptive to it, or he doesn't get it. You know, they can put you in touch with somebody who can help. There are social work. Every hospital has social work department for this very reason. So when you hear social worker, don't think of like just abandoned children or, you know, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare kind of thing, because the social worker is there for just that. She's to work with society. She helps. The hospitals have social workers to help coordinate benefits and coordinate needs. And basically the social worker is the one who gets your home health aide to come to your house or figures out where you're going to do your rehab and stuff like that too. They want to make sure that you have everything that you need at home and that kind of thing. So that's what they're there for. If you tell your doctor, your primary or your oncologist, or whichever doctor, your endocrinologist, you tell them that I need help at home. I'm just not doing well. It's okay to admit that we're fallible. And that's another thing. Oh, like we didn't even touch about that. I was talking about that first. I want to talk about that the most. It's okay for us to admit that we're fallible. It really is. Did you know? I didn't know. Did you know? We're only human. I mean, I don't know why you expect anybody to expect that you'd be more than human or superhuman or Wonder Woman. Because Wonder Woman is made believe. Now, we as women feel like the pressure to do it all because society puts that pressure on us. We need to have a career and a home, or depending on where you live, maybe you just need to be like the best homemaker. And other women, for some reason, we put pressure on each other to be like, well, my kids are all straight A students and they're going into college, and my house was just shown in the magazine, and I make the best potluck at church. Like, okay, congratulations, you have it all together. Maybe you had training from your birth. Maybe your mom was like the best and you're the second best. Okay, but not every woman's like that, so we don't shame each other. And being prideful, like that kind of prideful, not like, oh, I'm really proud of my son, he did a really good job, that's different. But pride in oneself like that, I don't know, it's that kind of pride. It's boastful. That's the word I was looking for. It's not just pride, but boastful is that kind of sinful pride that you're not supposed to have. You're not really supposed to be boastful. I don't think that Jesus likes that. I don't think he wanted us to be like that. But anyway, I have to find out where he got these socks. These would be perfect for me. I have no idea where he got them. Sometimes he sneaks things into the shopping cart, and then all of a sudden they're in his drawer, and you're like, okay, when did you go sock shopping without me? These are really nice. They feel like diabetes socks. They have a really good cushion. The stitches on the outside, and this leg, look how wide that is. That's like a really, I like these. I'm going to have to steal some. He stole all my diabetes socks, so fair is fair. Sorry, digress. But anyway, if you're having trouble at home and you can't communicate with your spouse, when you go to your doctor next time, communicate with your doctor. Maybe your doctor could put you in touch with services that will help you out. Maybe they could get somebody who can come clean. Maybe they'll just hook you up with a social worker who can call your church and say, hey, listen, we have this lady. She's been a member of your church for a long time. So on and so forth. She needs help. Is there anybody there who's willing to come over twice a week and help her out? Even the meal prep. So if you were the person at your church who's in charge of making sure that the meals were prepared for people who are sick, and you get sick, well, who does that for you? Do you have a backup person? Do you have the kind of church family that will step up, will realize that you're sick? If you don't tell them, if you just don't show up at church, does somebody call you and say, hey, you haven't been at church in 2 weeks, are you okay? Hey, maybe you're the kind of person who's like, hey, you didn't go to church this week, are you okay? Or whatever. Because some people like to keep their medical stuff private. They don't want everybody to be in their business of that you're going through something. You're going through struggle, medical, physical, or whatever. Some people are very private about that. But it's very, very difficult. I'm an eyeball sock out. It's very, very difficult for your healing process if you don't get help. That's really what it's all about. I do sympathize terribly with people who are alone. When my father passed away and Jim came here to Rolla to try to set up our life, our housing, he tried to find a place for us to live and a job so that we could move here after my father passed. I thought we would have to leave then and there type of thing. So we thought that the house situation was going to work out something different. I was alone. He was gone for, let's see. I started and graduated high school. I turned 40. I found out I was diabetic. I was doing Weight Watchers. Found out they had diabetic Weight Watchers, like that Weight Watchers program for diabetes. It just a lot had happened, and he was not there for it. And we had our 10th anniversary, but he did come home for that. Mom bought him a ticket for him to come back and be home for that. But I had to do all that by myself, and that's okay. It is okay. I took care of the cat and me, and we were there, and we just, you know, did it every day, and we were there for each other, and we communicated every day on the phone. Jim and I talked multiple times a day on the phone. Of course, sometimes he was working, so it was just one time a day before bed, or one texting. Texting was big, you know. But I've been there. I've had to do it by myself as well. When my mom was sick, I was the only one who lived at home. My sister was in college. My sister Julie lived with a family friend that she was watching her kids. She was kind of like an au pair. And no, she was living with her boyfriend at the time. I feel like she was living with Joe. I don't know. I gotta ask her. And my sister and brother lived in the apartment upstairs, but I actually think Alicia had moved out at that time, around that time. But I was home, me and my little brother and my dad and my mom. And my dad was not useless. I mean, he did all the cooking and cleaning, but he worked, you know. So I was there. I was like, I'm here. What do you need? What can I do? What do you want? Like, you know, I babysat every night. So my dad was home and my mom was with somebody. But it was like, you know, I've done it. I've done it. I've been the caretaker and I've gotten the care given to me. And I'd much rather be the caretaker, I'll tell you the truth. But I digress. If you're in the same boat where you're the caretaker and you're used to taking care of everybody, or you're the caregiver and you're used to giving care for everybody, definitely ask, communicate your needs, tell your family this is what you want. But it's really, really important to talk before you cry, before you yell. Communicate with words, with feelings, with emotions, however you can. If you have trouble talking, write your husband a note. I mean, it's silly, but it's what it is. A lot of times you just have to break that wall that you think is there. Sometimes it's just an invisible wall. Sometimes the wall is real, but sometimes the wall is just invisible. And it's a wall, again, that we sometimes build, you know, by telling our spouses, I don't need any help. Go sit down. You relax. You worked all day. So we create this culture in our homes that we just get overwhelmed with when it's our turn to be down for the count. So I love you guys. I'm about to go take my morning meds, do my blood sugar, have my coffee, my Metamucil, and start my day. I thank you so much for joining me. You have no idea. I appreciate all of your love and support through all of this. It really does mean so much to me. And I hope and I pray that this video has helped at least one of you, but hopefully it has helped many of you. I love you, and stay strong, and you can do it. And as always, take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Little pillow.